Just on Tuesday alone, the southern border hit the highest, the encounters at the southern border hit the highest total for a single day ever recorded in our country's history. This is a situation that is spiraling out of control. It's a major concern for voters as we head towards Election Day, John, and the senators are calling on the Biden administration and the president himself to act.
Yeah, it really is quite extraordinary numbers for just a Tuesday in December when typically the numbers will be down. Let's bring in Texas Department of Public Safety spokesman Chris Olivarez. He joins us from the border. He's in Mission, Texas. Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today. Let me get you, first of all, to react to this latest number. 12,000 people in a single day crossing the border illegally. That's an all-time record at a point in time when migration is typically beginning to drop off. What do you say to that?
Well, good afternoon, John and Sandra. So thanks for having me on. So yes, as you mentioned, John, of course, we have not experienced numbers or the influx that we're seeing right now since the week of Title 42. And of course, during that week, we were expecting to see numbers, upwards to 13,000 plus. But now we're seeing that now across the border, as you mentioned, an historic high of one single day over 12,000. Just in Del Rio, Texas, which is one of the sectors across the southwest border, Border Patrol reported over 17,000 encounters in the last 5 days. That's not including gotaways. That's not including apprehensions at the ports of entry. We have a dire situation right now at our southwest border. And of course, we've been doing this for the last 3 years. We've been talking about it for the last 3 years. There's been a lot of conversations, a lot of planning, but there has not been any action from anyone as far as trying to do something about this situation at our border, especially with our own federal government. In Texas, we're having to take on that responsibility. We've been doing it for the last 3 years with state funding, with the troopers that we have, with the National Guard soldiers, making our own barriers, everything that Governor Abbott has implemented since March of 2021. But now we need some real action across the southwest border so we can stem that flow and prevent these illegal border crossings.
John Thune, the senator, mentioned this just a moment ago, and this is something that Jay Johnson, who was Obama's Secretary of Homeland Security, said back in 2019 regarding the numbers of people coming across the border and the chaos that it creates. Listen to what he said back then.
If it was under 1,000 apprehensions the day before, that was a relatively good number. And if it was above 1,000, it was a relatively bad number, and I was going to be in a bad mood the whole day. I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like. So we are truly in a crisis.
He said that when he was the DHS secretary, over 1,000 people a day would be a bad day. He can't imagine what 4,000 looks like. We're triple that. And then take a look at these two statistics. 22,000 people are currently in custody. And since we turned over the new fiscal year on October the 1st, more than 535,000 people have crossed the southern border. I mean, by Jay Johnson's measure, we are way beyond a crisis.
Absolutely, John. We're way past that. This is way past any type of crisis. This is catastrophic, what we're seeing now, just in terms of numbers. And of course, all those numbers we're talking about, those are apprehensions. We're not even talking about the threats that we see along the border to public safety and national security, the gotaways, those that are apprehended at the ports of entry, suspected terrorists, criminal gang members that are coming across our borders, and the drugs, fentanyl. We still see a record level of amount of fentanyl that's coming across our borders because the Mexican drug cartels are mass producing this illicit poison that's coming across. But yet we still see these numbers increase, but yet there's no action, nothing being done at the federal level to stem that flow or to prevent illegal border crossings. And it does overwhelm the system. You just put up there on the screen, over 22,000 currently in custody. And these processing centers, they don't have the capacity to house these illegal immigrants. That's why it strains resources on these Border Patrol agents. Some of these ports of entry have to be closed to legitimate trade and travel because they're having to divert those federal resources to help process. That's not what we should be doing right now. We need to focus on trying to put something in place, a policy in place that's going to prevent anyone trying to make that journey to the border so we can focus on that criminal activity that's taking place. We know threats are here, John. The threats have been here for the last 3 years. We need to focus on that and do something about that before this situation gets much worse than what it is already.
Lieutenant, on the screen with you, we're seeing pictures out of Lukeville, out of Eagle Pass. Back to Lukeville, because Bill Melugin has been covering this with the intrepidity that he has been covering the border now for at least 3 years. And we see a lot of single males who are coming in from Africa who are simply looking for a better life. I assume that they're probably going to file an asylum claim, but they told Mnuchin that, hey, you know, America's the land of opportunity. We want to be a part of the American dream. And then we see in the San Diego sector, migrants coming in with suitcases from China. I mean, it doesn't seem like this is the typical migration that we have been seeing across the southern border from Northern Triangle countries like Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala. This is kind of like the door is open and the world is pouring in.
Absolutely. First, I want to just, Bill Mnuchin has been doing some great reporting there in Arizona, talking to these migrants, getting firsthand knowledge of why they're coming across, and the majority here are for economic reasons, which is not a legitimate asylum claim. That's not a credible asylum claim. That's why there's an abuse on the asylum process. And the fact that you see so many single men from Africa, from Middle East, from China that are making their way to the border, that tells you one thing. It's very evident that the federal government does not have any consequences in place to prevent what's taking place. Because if there was consequences, if there was mass deportations, then you would not see this influx of single men making their way to the border. And of course, what's taking place in Arizona, John, and we see the influx of what's taking place in Texas. Now, I can tell you for a fact, if we did not have all the efforts in place we're now in Texas, as far as the manpower, the barriers, all the infrastructure that we have put in place from the very beginning, we would be in a similar situation that we're seeing right now in Arizona. So we have great leadership in Texas. Our troopers, our National Guard are doing a tremendous job despite the challenges. But of course, we need federal help. We need the federal government to step in to stop this crisis that we're seeing at our border right now, and to prevent these illegal border crossings from taking place. Because with that, you can stop human smuggling as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects to this, Lieutenant, and the fact too that we're not seeing these people come in sporadically; they're coming in en masse as a group. And then there's the economic cost of, well, how do you don't just send them back to Honduras? You got to send them all the way back to Africa, or you've got to send them back to China. And that's going to cost us millions of dollars. Chris Olivarez, good to talk to you. Thanks for kicking us off today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.